Hot Country Life Story featuring Big Tom McBride, sponsored by Shadlock's Garage, Mygara, County Sligo, Ireland, for great service and value.
Dim lights, thick smoke, and loud music is the only kind of light you'll ever understand. Dim lights, thick smoke, and
in the rolling, drumming country where Monaghan throws a shoulder against Armagh lives a true legend of Irish showbiz. The winding road from Castleblaney leads to the small village of Orem, where a bronze bust tells all callers this is the home of a favourite son, Big Tom McBride. For close on 50 years, Big Tom has commanded iconic status on the country scene. More songs have been written about him than any other singer. One of them, Big Tom is Still the King, topped the Irish charts, the only song about an Irish singer ever to achieve such an honour. The story of Big Tom is the story of a lifetime love affair with country followers that is unparalleled in the history of Irish showbiz culture. The gentle giant is one of our own, a man of the land whose songs have touched the hearts of millions since the 1960s. Sincerity and humility are the hallmarks of this remarkable son of Monaghan. Our inaugural Hot Country Life Story show just had to feature the King himself. Sit back and join us on this very special journey to the McBride family home. We loved our trip to Monaghan. We hope you do too.
take me back where the grass grows the greenest, in a little emerald garden in the sea. Take me back where the girls are the prettiest in the world. It lies in the heart of me. People ask me where I come from back in Ireland. Dungannon, Connemara, Tralee, Dublin, Derry, Donegal, did a lot of living in the mall, and I tell them they mean all the same to me. I come from where the grass grows the greenest, in a little emerald garden in the sea. I come from where the girls are the prettiest in the world. It lies in the heart of me. Were you born in that old cottage on the border of Galway and Mayo or in Kildare? It did do with me where my mama happened to be. But bless you, ma'am, for being where you were. I was born where the grass grows the greenest, in a little emerald garden in the sea. I was born where the girls are the prettiest in the world, and it lies in the heart of me. Tipperary or Sligo near the Isle of Finish-Free? Do you belong to Sion Mills or among the Wicklow Hills? Or do you feel you all belong to me? I belong where the grass grows the greenest, in a little emerald garden in the sea. I belong where the girls are the prettiest in the world, and it lies in the heart, although we're far apart, it lies in the heart of me.
We're absolutely delighted to be here in the home of Big Tom McBride, Ireland's King of Country Music. Thanks very much indeed, Tom, for the lovely warm welcome to your home here in Orem, just outside of Castleblaney. We're right on the border here, of course, between Monaghan and Armagh, and a lot of people have interconnections with both counties. Now, on your own side, your dad, you came from what we would have known back then as a mixed marriage. Your dad was Protestant Church of Ireland, your mother was Catholic.
That's right, yeah. And well, as you said, we're along the border here and that, and I think it was a great place to grow up, because there was an awful lot of music in this area, and even in our own house, way back when I was a nipper and that, my mother was great for the music, and she loved the music, and my father would just sing a song now and again with a push on that, but he could have played the accordion a bit too on that. But, I suppose it brought us into that type of music. It was mostly waltzes and that would be played at the house parties, and there was a lot of them in our house. You know, a lot of house parties now and again, and one time you'd have a fiddle playing there, and next time there'd be an accordion, and you know. But I suppose it gave me a love for music, and it gave me a love probably for the Irish music and that, and you know yourself, like way back them times, a lot of the songs that were sang, and Irish ballads and that, they were maybe a sad type of songs, because way back in them times there was an awful lot of immigration, and a lot of the songs was about people leaving home, and maybe then there would be a happier song about them coming back home again, you know. But I think it was a great place to grow up, and it was a great time to grow up.
Indeed. And at home in your family, how many were in your own family?
Well, we had there was sort of two families. My father was married twice as well, and we had two with a half brother and a half sister, and that was they were older than us, and there was myself and another brother Seamus and another brother Willie John, and we had one sister in the second family, which was Madge, and Madge is still alive. She's still living in Birmingham. That's right. But the rest of the family is all gone. Yeah.
Now, you spoke, of course, at that time of songs songs of leaving, as we say, and you, like so many more of that generation all over this country, you took the boat to England as well at an early age.
I did, yeah. The first time I ventured away from home was I went to Scotland. I went to the Highlands of Scotland, and I worked on a hydroelectric scheme way up in the Highlands of Scotland. Myself and another neighbour lad from home, and we were only there for 4 months, and his father died, and he had to come home for the funeral and all that, and I came with him, and we stayed at home for maybe 4 or 5 months, and then we headed back to the boat again, and we went back to London that time, and we were in London. We worked in London, and I was working in an ice cream factory in London, making ice cream, and above all things.
That was in Wall's ice cream factory.
That was Wall's ice cream factory and that, you know. But it was work, and when you went over to England, like you had to get work, and you had to have a place to stay, and you had to pay for it. But we worked in it, and I enjoyed making ice cream and that, and although you couldn't look at ice cream for a while after you left, because you'd be tired looking at it, you know. Yeah. But that was I stayed in that job now for 1.5 years in London, and then the friend that I went to London with, he moved away down to a different part of England, and I went to Jersey with a couple of friends from not far from home here, the Finnegan brothers and that, you know. And we used to play songs and sing songs, and they were playing guitars at the time, and then we had a guitar, and we'd exchange songs and bits of songs and that, you know, in the flat in London. And that's where I got the words of the first song I ever recorded, was in London, in a flat. And the fellas that gave it to me were twins. They were from Corduff, away out near Sharcock, and I heard them singing a bit of a song one night, and I thought it was a lovely song, and I asked him, did he have the full words of it or not, you know, but he said he didn't. So I asked him, could he get the words of it? He said he had a sister at home that knew the words of it. So he wrote home to the sister, and sure enough, she sent the words back, and that's where I got a song called Gentle Mother.
My goodness. Yeah.
By the side of a clear crystal fountain, there stands a lonely churchyard closely by. There's a tombstone decorated with primroses in the memory of a loved one passed away. Shall I ne'er see you more, gentle mother, in the fields where the wild flowers grow, gathering flowers as they grew amongst the wildwood, and I cherished was no trouble unto you. Some children take a liking to their parents, while some others fill their mother's heart with pain. But someday they will be sorry for their blindness, when crying will not take her back again. Shall I ne'er see you more, gentle mother, in the fields where the wild flowers grow? I am sorry for that loss I can't recover. Neath yon willow lies my gentle mother's love. Neath yon willow lies my gentle mother's love.
Hot Country Life Story featuring Big Tom McBride, sponsored by Shadlock's Garage, Mygara, County Sligo, Ireland, for great service and value. Our new free Hot Country TV mobile app is now available. Download today from Google Play Store and the App Store. Everything you need at your fingertips. Hot Country TV app is Hot Country in your pocket. Download it now. It's free. Hot Country Life Story featuring Big Tom McBride, sponsored by Shadlock's Garage, Mygara, County Sligo, Ireland, for great service and value.
But then after that, like, I moved to Jersey, and I stayed in Jersey for a year and a half or so on. So we did everything over there. We picked tomatoes and looked after tomatoes when they were growing, and picked potatoes. And we laid cables and done an awful lot of things like that, you know.
Yeah.
And that was around 1960, 57, 58 and 9. And then I had one brother at home at that stage, and he got a fall from a bicycle. He was walking away from home with a man about 2 miles away on that, and he travelled back and forth on a bike, and he was coming home one evening in a hurry. He was going to see a singer that was very popular around at that time, was Maggie Barry. And whatever happened to him anyway, he missed on the way home, and he fell off the bike and he hit his head off the road, and he was taken to hospital, and he got all right. Like he was all right then in a while, but 12 months after, it hit him again, the fall, and it was meningitis, and that finished him and that, you know. So, my father and mother there wrote to me then to see would I come home, and I had no notion of coming back home at that stage, you know. But then, under the circumstances and that, like, I said, yeah, I'll go home and that, you know. It wasn't for a month or so after my brother had died and that. I was in Jersey, and it was mostly boats was going back and forward to Jersey at that stage, and I couldn't get the right connections anyway at the time, and I wouldn't have been home in time for the funeral, so I said I'd wait on for a while and finish up there, and came back home, and I suppose only for that I probably wouldn't be in the music business, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, shortly after that, Tom, and that tragedy, that was your brother Willie John, 18 at the time, I think, when he died.
That's right, yeah.
Shortly after that, you settled into life here in Orem, and you met up with some lads in the music business, and you met up with lads in the Fincarn Cayley band, I think.
Well, that's right. When I came back home, there was a couple of lads playing music, and I didn't know much about them in the music at that stage because you know, there hadn't been that music before I went away, and I didn't know that they were interested in music, the same family and that. But that was the two McMahons, Henry and Seamus, and they were organised, and they were going, and they were playing little country venues and things like that, you know, and they were playing Cayley music mostly, you know. So they asked me would I be interested. I was strumming at the guitar at the time and singing a few songs and that, very few songs, but a few songs. And they asked me to join the band, and I said, yeah, sure, we'd give it a go anyway, you know. But at that stage, we were playing all sorts of small halls and things like that, and all sorts of dances. At that time, there was a lot of dances connected with football and that, you know, and presentations of cups or medals and that was done at dances in small halls and things like that. But you would have to be playing Cayley music to play at these dances, you know. So I suppose we made cheated a bit, you know, and we'd play music and that to the presentation would be over, and then we'd swing back to what we are still doing today, to the country music and that, you know. Right.
Well, of course, you were talking there about football and football clubs and all of that. You actually did play quite a bit of football here in your young days, and you also lined up with the Monaghan junior football team, I think, on a few occasions.
Well, yeah, I played with the county once, but when I was picked to play for the county, I was playing with a band, the Blue Seven, you know, and I played once with the county, and then I was picked the following Sunday to play again for the county, and the band I was playing with was playing in Crossmolina on that particular Sunday, and they were worried about going away, and then there was nobody there with them to sing maybe and that, you know, and I was playing bass with them at the time as well. So I at that time you had there's no excuses, like you had to put in a doctor's certificate or something like that. But I got a doctor's certificate, and I went with the band, and I suppose I cooked the goose for the football bit of it anyway, you know.
Where did you play? Midfield, was it?
Midfield mostly, yeah.
You're a big fella at midfield now.
You'd think you're a big fella till you get out there and you meet a big fella. And some of the boys mightn't be that big, but they'd feel big, you know.
Yeah.
But I played then with the local club here for a lot of years, and I played midfield with them, and I captained them for a while as well. Yeah.
I think the actual land that the Orem Football Club is on your land here, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, it was land. It's not mine now.
Yeah.
I bought it. It was land that I had bought, and Orem was looking for a pitch at the time, and asked me would I give them a football field off it, you know. So the farm I bought was only about 14 acres and that, and I think I sold them the half of it.
Right.
And that's what the football is, and today even, and that's what they play it, you know.
One day our mother went to a prison to see an eerie but precious son. She told the warden how much she loved him. It did not matter what he had done. She did not bring him a parole or pardon. She brought no silver, no copper stein. It was a halo bright sent down from heaven, the sweetest gift a mother's smile. Her boy had wandered far from the fireside, though she had pleaded with him each night. But not a word did she ever utter that told of heartache. Her smile was bright. She did not bring him a parole or pardon. She brought no silver, no pomp or style. It was a halo bright sent down from heaven, the sweetest gift a mother's smile. She left us mine, you can remember. She's gone to heaven from heartaches free. Them bars around you will never change her. You were her baby, and there will be. She did not bring him a parole or pardon. She brought no silver, no pomp or style. It was a halo bright sent down from heaven, the sweetest gift a mother's smile. The sweetest gift a mother's smile.
Now, we're talking about, obviously then after the Fincarn, it graduated onto the mainliners, and John McCormick from Rockcorry was your first manager there. Kevin McCooey has managed the band for many, many years up to now. But John was the first manager. He'd been uncle of the current Director General of the GA, Pádraig Duffy. And of course, you all came from the area. There was yourself, there were the two McMahons, there were Henry and Seamus. You had John Beattie from the town there, and we had Ronnie Duffy, Ginger Morgan, and the late and much lamented Sir McKevitt.
That's right.
Yeah, so you all came from a close radius here to the town.
Collect the whole lot in 10 minutes or
That's
so,
right,
you know.
yeah.
It's a remarkable thing that happened, like, and we weren't a band that was set out to go anywhere. We were doing something that we loved, and we did it just for the crack, and there was a few bobbing at that time, a very, very few, you know. I remember, like, we'd play for maybe a 5 or an 8. There'd be 4 of us, and there'd be £1 a piece and a pound for the car, or for the plattle and that, But we enjoyed it, and I remember that you're talking about John McCormick, yeah. God rest him, and he was a good manager now. He'd done a lot for us way back at the beginning and that. But we played at a dance one night in Ballybay, and John was at the dance, and he said that whatever was about the band, the band made him want to dance,
Mm-hmm.
So he got interested in the band, and he asked us had we a manager, and we said we didn't. So he said he'd try and get us a few dates on that, So it all sort of started from that. John started to get us a few dates, and then he got us he got us a spot on a show band show
On RT.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I suppose that's what made us. Because we done a spot on a show band show that Larry Cunningham, man that's gone too, God rest him, and Joe Dolan, another man that's gone. They were on the same show, and the people that was on them, watching them shows and that, they didn't know us. We were nobody, they didn't know us. But when they were watching the other two men, they seen us, and it done us an awful lot of good, that, And we had, I was singing Gentle Mother, that song at the time and that, and we heard it on the show, people heard it on the show, and they started asking and inquiring about the record and that, so we recorded the record. And Ginger, he was a pop singer in the band at that stage, and he wrote a song called I'm Thinking of You, and we put the 2 songs on a record, and people started looking for Gentle Mother,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't the A-side at the time at all, Ginger's song was the A-side that was supposed to be in that one. But it turned out that the record was turned over, and Gentle Mother was finished up the A-side of it and that. But I suppose that was a big start for us. That's how we got going, probably.
It was a huge start. That was a programme that was produced by Tom McBride, as far as I can recall, in RT at the time, the show band show, the late Tom McBride, who produced Castlebar Song Contest and several others in later years. But the fact that you were on the same night as 2 big stars of the time, Joe Dolan and Larry Cunningham, was probably a huge boost.
It was pure luck.
Yeah.
And I always maintained that's what got us going,
Hot Country Life Story featuring Big Tom McBride, sponsored by Sherlock's Garage, Mygara, County Sligo, Ireland, for great service and value. Hot Country TV Volume 2 4-CD set of 100 songs featuring Ireland's top country stars, including Big Tom, Nathan Carter, Mike Denver, Derek Ryan, Lisa McHugh, Jimmy Buckley, Louise Morrissey, Michael English, and many, many more, is now available. Call 087 685 9895 or visit www.hotcountrytv.com. Hot Country Life Story featuring Big Tom McBride, sponsored by Sherlock's Garage, Mygara, County Sligo, Ireland, for great service and value.
The songs of Boxcar Willie will take me back again to my childhood days in Blaney, when I saw my first steam train. He was standing at the station with her smokestack black and tall. Then she left for Enniskillen, heading on to Donegal. Now the first time that I rode this train, oh how my poor heart bled. I was just another emigrant on my way to Holyhead. I was leaving home that morning to seek fortune and fame, so I left Castle Blaney on the GNR steam train. The farmers working in the fields, they always knew the time, as they listened to her whistle as she thundered down the line. She took many folks away from home and brought them back again, but now she's gone forever, that GNR steam train. She carried freight and livestock from factories and from fairs. She also took the pilgrims to Loughdare to say their prayers. Going to an Ulster final, she was really loaded down as she steamed away through Ballybay to the game and thrown its down. Now Taylor's Tunnel is no more and the footbridge is now gone. There's a row of red brick houses where the rail brigades once swung. There are many men in Blaney who wish they were kids again. You could flirt and court and lose your heart on the GNR steam train. The farmers working in the fields, they always knew the time, as they listened to her whistle as she thundered down the line. She took many folks away from home and brought them back again, but now she's gone forever, that GNR steam train. And in her final journey she was shunted to the side. The people mourned her passing like a dear friend who had died. I saw a big man broken hearted, their tears that fell like rain when they said goodbye forever.
Well, the years that followed, I mean, they were just phenomenal. I mean, Big Tom and the Mainliners, you took off within a few months. You became the biggest band in the country. You were breaking records up and down the country. The people in England absolutely loved you. I mean, some of the crowds in London, I think one night, I think they had to bring in the mounted police there to control the crowd. It's phenomenal, Tom. And Birmingham, people knew that the Mainliners were in town because the crowds on the buses late at night. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. We're talking about crowd. Birmingham, I remember playing in the Shamrock in Birmingham one night, and the police came in and they stopped us from playing. There was that many people in, and they took 500 people out of the hall before they'd let us start playing music again. You know, and we did with some great times in England and that, like, and Birmingham and London and all them, Manchester, all them big cities that time, full of Irish people. You know, they're all, everybody was emigrating, and that's where all the young Irish people were. And we were young at that time too. And we were well fit for the road.
And of course, the records came hot and heavy. Your albums were mainly with Johnny McCauley, Denver. Johnny McCauley died this year. A huge influence on your career as well as on many other careers like Brian Call and Larry and others in Irish country music. An extraordinary man.
Extraordinary man and a funny man, you know. And he had a talent for. He was a poet and a musician. Like, he wrote some great songs. You know, I think the first couple of songs he wrote for me was My Own Washing and I Settled for Old Ireland. And there were two great songs. And there were sort of songs that immigrant songs and that, you know. And he wrote older songs for me. Like, he wrote a full album, like the Blue Wings album that I recorded in Nashville, and there was great songs on that, you know. I suppose one of the most notable songs on it was My Donegal Show, and there was a lot of great songs. He wrote a lot of great songs down through the years, for not only me but for a lot of different singers on that. But sadly he passed away in the last couple of years that he was alive. I visited him a couple of times, and he finished up, he had Alzheimer's and that, and he didn't know a song he wrote. We should talk to him about songs that he wrote and that, and he'd look at you, but he didn't recognise.
And he wrote all the great songs of that particular country and Irish genre of music, like he had Hometown on the File, Four Roads to Glen Maddie, Annie Tipperary Town, 5,000 Miles from Sligo, Pretty Little Girl from Oma. You could go on and on and on.
You could, surely,
just a brilliant writer.
He's a great talent.
Yeah. And he made that connection between the Irish abroad and the Irish at home. He really got into the mindset of that particular generation of Irish people.
Yeah, and he had lovely words and lovely stories and all original airs of songs, you know. The music was all very original and that, you know, and now he'd be known for when we are not about anyway.
Yeah.
Tubbercurdy, you were mine when I was young. Tubbercurdy, you'll be mine when the day is done. Though it's far away we roam, there's still no place like home. Tubbercurdy, my old friend, do you still recall the days and all the happy times we shared with you in Sligo long ago? The Ox Mountains we would climb in the good old summertime and admire your sweeping beauty down below. Those carefree days we spent in dreams of sweet content. You sheltered us through all our growing years. But there came a time to part, and it nearly broke my heart. Tonight I picture you through all my tears. Tubbercurdy, you were mine when I was young. Tubbercurdy, you'll be mine when the day is done. Though it's far away we roam, there's still no place like home. Tubbercurdy, my old friend.
Hot Country Life Story featuring Big Tom McBride, sponsored by Sherlock's Garage, Mygara, County Sligo, Ireland, for great service and value. Hot Country TV Volume 2 4-CD set of 100 songs featuring Ireland's top country stars, including Big Tom, Nathan Carter, Mike Denver, Derek Ryan, Lisa McHugh, Jimmy Buckley, Louise Morrissey, Michael English, and many, many more, is now available. Call 087 685 9895 or visit www.hotcountrytv.com. Hot Country Life Story featuring Big Tom McBride, sponsored by Sherlock's Garage, Mygara, County Sligo, Ireland, for great service and value.
We'll move it on a wee bit, and that was, as I said, a huge era, that right up to 75, when the mainlanders went their own way for a few years then, and you joined the band called the Travellers, and you had 10 good years with them as well. Yeah. But during that time as well, you actually went to Nashville. Now, one of the strange things about that for a lot of people is the fact that you didn't fly to America. You have a fear of flying, not too bad now in recent years, but back then you had a serious fear of flying, and that came about, I think, from an emergency landing. Isn't that right? An emergency landing at an airport in England.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Well, we finished the tour in London. We were after doing a tour in England, maybe 10, 12, 14 days or something like that in England, and we were travelling back from London, London, probably it was on Monday morning and that, and everybody were in the plane and all, and taken off, and next thing happened, the emergency, an engine had went on fire when we were almost to the end of the runway, just before she took flight, and he had to take off. He couldn't stop, and he took off anyway, and that, and we were told to stay in our seats and keep our seat belts fastened. And I remember we were way out and climbed a lot, and then he dropped the plane maybe 300 or 400 feet and that, you know. seemingly, we were told afterwards that he done that to put the fire out on the engine, and it did put the fire out. But we were just flying around, getting the airport cleared for a landing again, and we come back in, and I think we hit runway about 500 mile an hour. I don't know what it was, but we could see the terminal buildings, and we could see fire brigades and ambulances and things like that pulling out of it, and I said, "Them's for us," you know, and it wasn't a very happy hurry now till we got landed and pulled up, you know.
Yeah.
But it was an experience.
Yeah.
And it was one that didn't do me any good anyway for flying. But I remember we pulled up, and everybody was off the plane and onto the buses and that, and were bringing us to another plane to take us back home to Dublin, and everybody was on the plane but me. I was still sitting in the bus. I remember everybody was out of this other plane to try and get me onto it, and our hostess and pilot was out then, and the pilot talked to me for a while, and the only thing that made me get back on the plane was, he says, the unfortunate thing that happened, he says, it's not going to happen. It's not likely that it would happen twice on the same morning, you know. So I studied myself for a while. I suppose that's right, you know. And eventually I did get on the next plane. And I remember it well. I got on the plane, and I got a magazine or something, and I read the magazine the whole way to Dublin. If you had asked me what I was reading about when I got to Dublin, I hadn't a clue. I was looking at it, but I wasn't taking anything in, you know.
Well, now, that leads us into the time that you wouldn't fly to America. You got the QE2 from Southampton, I presume, with Johnny McCauley. Yeah. And this was to record the Blue Wings album in Nashville. Now, it was about a 5-day crossing.
5 days, yeah. From Southampton to New York.
And one of those nights was pretty rough out in the mid-Atlantic, was it?
It was, surely.
Yeah.
I tell you, like the stories you hear about, you know, the QE2 and that, she runs level no matter what storms there is. But that's as you rode out. Like, there's no doubt about it. It was for was it a day and 2 nights, I think. That was big time up and down, and you couldn't even stay in the bed. We were holding on to the curtains. Johnny McCauley was the same. 3 curtains, and there's no windows, but there's 3 curtains there, and to make you think there was windows, but there's no windows. But we were holding on to the curtains to stay in the bed, you know, and it didn't give me much faith in boats either. Yeah. Well, though, like it never, you know, even on rough seas, crossing back and forward to England and that, you know, I never was worried about rough seas and boats.
But of course, it was an experience to travel by boat to America as well, and I believe you did something on that trip that you haven't done since.
I think you're talking about playing bingo.
Aye.
That's right, and I won. But it was a thing of passing the time, you know. You're on a boat and that, like.
You checked on the bingo.
I did, yeah. Oh, I did all right, like, but what it was now, it wouldn't took you far, like. Yeah. But
so you got to America anyway. You got to New York. You did that long haul, 24 hours, 25 hours on the Greyhound bus down to Nashville. A huge haul. I did that track myself. I said I had a fear of flying, but I said I have to get over it because I wouldn't do another 24-hour Greyhound trip down to Nashville.
Yeah.
There was an incident actually down around Knoxville where a guy came on the bus.
There was a few boys came on it, but like when you hear you were going on the bus, and you've always down through the years you'd hear about the Greyhound bus, the old Greyhound bus, and sure we all thought the Greyhound bus was a luxury bus and that, you know. and you'd sleep and everything on it, but no such a thing. It was a very ordinary bus, and small seats, and we were on it for 24 hours. And after about 4 or 5 stops, you know, she stopped every 4 hours or something like that. And well, the drivers would change every 4 hours and that. And but after one of the stops, anyway, we got back into the bus, and the driver pulled out and heading on ahead up the road. And all of a sudden, the driver says, "Somebody just lit up a joint. Put it out." You know? Well, I hardly knew what he was on about, you know. Yeah. But it was, he lit up a bad cigarette or something like that. But, you learn a lot of things when you travel, you know.
So it was a great experience to record that album in Nashville.
It was. It was a whole different thing than doing an album here. You know, although, like I often said after it, that probably if I had done an album at home here, it would have maybe been a more popular album, because it was done American way, you know, and those Irish people wasn't ready for that sort of thing at that time, you know. But Johnny wanted me to do this album in Nashville, and well, that's what we done. But the recording bit was very, very, very simple. You know, everything was done at the one time. You know, backing singers were in, and the vocal was down, and all the session men was there, and the studio was full, and everybody was walking. You know, they drummed the song twice, and that's all they had. That's all they had to do. Just run it twice. Listen to it, and picked out the bits they were going to do, and up and get into it, and that was it. It's done.
One of the songs from that album, "Country Music's Here to Stay," Johnny McCauley song, all Johnny McCauley songs. You still sing that song to this day. It's a great song, and the recording of that was superb. It's right up there with the very best you've ever done, I think.
No, well, I don't know, but it is a great song. Great. You know, it was a great story of country music.
Yes.
Like, that's what country music, and that's where it started. That's Johnny McCauley's, you know. But I still do it in the band, and it is a very popular song.
It's a song that pays tribute to, we'll say, Jimmy Rogers and Hank Williams and all of those.
That's right.
Hank Williams would have been one of your main influences in the early years, was he?
Oh, from I was small, from very small and that, and we had a gramophone at home, and we used to buy records of Jimmy Rogers and Hank Williams and things like that, and sure, I suppose, well, that's all would be brought into our house, or else Irish ballads and things like that, you know. It was lovely to hear that country music, and still lovely to hear it, only it's changed a lot. The American country music has changed a lot now, and it's I wouldn't be as much into it as I would be on the older country music. But although there's an awful lot of young people coming into it, and it's great to see that, you know, that they're gone from this high, hard rock, and that, you know, there's an awful lot of young people in this country now, and young fellas and girls singing country music, and it's different, but it's still, they call it country music, and a lot of the people coming out to see it, and the young people, and that's great to see.
Hot Country TV Volume 2 4-CD set of 100 songs featuring Ireland's top country stars, including Big Tom, Nathan Carter, Mike Denver, Derek Ryan, Lisa McHugh, Jimmy Buckley, Louise Morrissey, Michael English, and many, many more, is now available. Call 087 685 9895 or visit www.hotcountrytv.com.
Four country roads winding to your town in County Galway. 4 country roads leading to the friends I left behind. 4 dusty roads winding to the town of Glenamaddy. 4 dusty roads forever in the caverns of my mind. Once in a while I hear the sound of music in the winter night. I see now and then the trees where we sheltered from the rain. And once in a while I see us walking home in the morning light. And oft other times I long to see my hometown once again. 4 roads from Glenamaddy, 4 roads that drift apart, 4 roads to Glenamaddy, are the 4 dusty byways to my heart. 1 country road led me to the schoolhouse by the meadow, and 1 country road to the churchyard where my mom and daddy lie. 1 dusty road where I strolled with a loved one in the shadows, and 1 dusty road that led me on my journey far away. 4 roads from Glenamaddy, 4 roads that drift apart, 4 roads to Glenamaddy, are the 4 dusty byways to my heart. 4 roads from Glenamaddy, 4 roads that drift apart, 4 roads to Glenamaddy, are the 4 dusty byways to my heart. The 4 country highways to my heart.
Over the years, you would have, I'm sure, met some of the famous American singers, but I know one fellow you certainly met was Tom T. Hall.
That's right,
You'd have
yeah.
recorded a lot of Tom T. songs, Pamela Brown and various other ones.
That's right.
I believe you had a memorable night around Blaney here once upon a time. I think you polished off a few Sidonas that night, Tom.
Well, I went to see him all right, yeah.
And you had a late session, I think, that night.
Well, I had that many late sessions that I can't remember any in particular, but I do remember I sang on stage with Tom T.
Yeah.
and came across and that, and a grand fella, there's no doubt about it, like, but a great songwriter,
brilliant.
storyteller,
Yeah.
and something else.
Unique songwriter, unique talent.
Yeah.
You're right. Just to vary for a moment, you recorded several songs, Johnny Cash songs and all of them. One of them songs was a song called Give My Love to Rose. Now,
Yeah.
that one might have been, I know at that stage you had actually got married, but your wife, Rose, she's a local girl from just down the road here.
Yeah.
You're very close neighbours, in fact.
Oh, yeah, well, if you fell twice, you'd be it from our house to Rose's or from Rose to our house. But we were neighbours enough, you know.
Right.
But
So when did you meet Rose actually when you came back from England? Or you'd have known her before you went away, or did you?
no.
No.
No, it was after we came back.
Yeah.
I didn't know she was only in gym slips that before I went to England, I suppose. And it was after we came back that I met her at a concert in Orem, actually. And I came back, I was singing and playing a guitar, and I sung at a few concerts and things like that. And she was at the concert, and she fell for me.
Straight away.
Oh, no doubt.
Head over heels.
Yeah. There was no getting away. That was it.
I think we'll call Rose in for a moment here to join us. Actually, we're absolutely thrilled that Rose is going to join us for a few minutes on the show here tonight and say a few words as well. Well, Rose, is that true? Did you fall head over heels for him?
Somebody thinks that. That's all. I suppose I did, all right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he was a neighbour, really. He'd come back from England, yeah.
He was a neighbour, but I still had never been in. He went to the same school as me, but I didn't meet him at school. Didn't know him at school because Tom didn't go too often to school.
Really?
He mitched often. So no. And then there was a play, and he was in. We always did those concerts and plays at that time, so that's how I met him first, and then we had our wee hall down here, dance hall. So that was it. So,
you got married some time later.
Yeah, about near 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Married locally, or?
We were married down here in the church down here. It was just 4 at the wedding.
Just 4.
Wasn't that plenty?
Plenty.
Yeah.
Too many.
Too many. Yeah, that was it.
4 of you.
Very simple, so.
Yeah. Of course, there was no huge receptions or anything back then.
Oh no. We did. We went to the Newmore in Carrickmacross, and then we came back here that night. So there was no such thing as honeymoons at that time. You didn't have enough money for that sort of crack. But later on, we went to Spain. The first time we ever went. We went to Spain, to Termalinas.
Right. So about 2 years after you got married, the mainlanders took off and the entire business took off for Tom then?
Oh yes, well not 2 years after. We weren't that long married whenever they started off again.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. No, Tom was with a band, the Ken Kennedy and the Blue Seven, before we got married. But
I mean, success came very, very fast for them at that stage then, and within a handful of years, they were the biggest band in the country. I mean, it was a strange thing perhaps for you to have to cope with that at that stage, was it?
Well, I suppose, yeah. We were broke into because at the beginning they weren't famous or anything like that. It was only whenever Gentle Mother just took off. But I suppose the hardest thing was maybe them being away. At that time they were out a lot, maybe 6 nights a week sometimes. Then the children were small, and and my mother wasn't well, and my father, and so I had plenty to do to occupy my time, and tell you.
So, I suppose, like a lot of the people in this business, show business, a lot is left to the mothers, to the women at home, really. So you were there all the time for the for the 2 sons and 2 daughters, Thomas and Dermot, Aisling and Siobhan. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was there all the time. You didn't, and I didn't travel much at that time with Tom. I would only go, maybe he was in Castleblaney or something like that, because when the children were small, you had to get up again the next morning, get them out to school, and so you couldn't be travelling around to Mayo and Donegal and Cork and Kerry. So you stayed at home.
But you do travel a lot now in the more recent years. You go to all the shows nearly again.
I go all the time now. From Tom hadn't been well, and anyway, I have nobody at home, so. I travel all the time, yeah. Right. Wherever he goes, I go.
And looking back on a career that spans over 40 years, pushing towards 50 really, almost in the business, what do you put down his success to? It is just extraordinary, the appeal that Tom has retained with his fans. I know there are loyal fans and all of that for quite a number of artists, but and I know that the loyalty of the big Tom fans is just absolutely incredible. They travel from Antrim down to Kerry, to Wexford, to Mayo, to Donegal. Distance, no problem. They go over to England to see him. They just go everywhere.
Oh yeah. And that's the one thing that made it for me in the last 6 years or 7, from I go all the places, and I've met all these people, and they're just like a wee family, knit family. Really, we know them all. I've got to know an awful lot of them, and they're such nice people, really and truly. Tom has an awful lot to be thankful for, to have fans that's so loyal to him. They wouldn't miss a night. Wouldn't matter where he is, And
I suppose not a week goes by that you don't have people from some part of the country or overseas called to the house here.
Oh yeah.
That happens all the time for years and years and years.
Yeah.
People come and taking photographs, like to meet him, and it's just something I suppose you get used to in your daily life.
You just get used to it, and you just have to take us as the finders. We're a bit rough and ready here, but we just get used to that now.
And at the end of every show there, when you see the crowd lined throughout the show, you see them lined 30, 40 deep in front of the stage, and the shouting and the cheering, and it's something that has gone practically out of the scene, apart from Tom, for years. It's the old mania type of style of shouting in front of the stage. It's incredible. He's the only one that can do that anymore. How do you feel when you see all of that happening, and the shouts, and they just love the man?
You do feel, and I'm very proud of Tom, like, really and truly, you know, because, and so is the family. Like.
Well, Rose, thanks so much indeed for the lovely warm welcome here to your home in Orem, just a few miles out from Castleblaney today. It has been absolutely a privilege to come here to meet you and Tom in your very own home, and thank you for the hospitality as always. A real privilege.
Oh, thank you very much for coming, Michael, and you know you're welcome anytime. We're always delighted to see you.
I know that.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rose. Thank you.
I ran 15 miles from the town of Coleraine, and almost halfway to the city of fame. That city of fame where the foil waters flow is 17 miles from the old river road. My own rolling road. Niagara, I've gazed at your white waters fall, the white Mississippi, the Missouri and all. But my playground in childhood so long, long ago was the green-covered banks of the old river road. My own rolling road. Roll on, river road, you turn and you wind, like you do through the valley of dreams in my mind. And day after day, all my yearnings still grow to return to the banks of the old river road. My own rolling road. Them paddies so often was heaven to me, and I'd walk to the Regal, the movies to see John Wayne and Tina Tree, though they didn't know, rode along on the banks of the old river road. My own rolling road. In a little tight cottage on a seacoast road farm, the fire's still burning and there's logs in the barn. But there's nobody home but my young brother Joe on the hill o'er the banks of the old river road. My own rolling road. Roll on, river road, you turn and you wind, like you do through the valley of dreams in my mind. And day after day, all my yearnings still grow to return to the banks of the old river road. My own rolling road. My own rolling road.
Hot Country Life Story featuring Big Tom McBride, sponsored by Shadlock's Garage, Mygara, County Sligo, Ireland, for great service and value. Hot Country TV Volume 2 4-CD set of 100 songs featuring Ireland's top country stars, including Big Tom, Nathan Carter, Mike Denver, Derek Ryan, Lisa McHugh, Jimmy Buckley, Louise Morrissey, Michael English, and many, many more, is now available. Call 087 685 9895 or visit www.hotcountrytv.com. Hot Country Life Story featuring Big Tom McBride, sponsored by Shadlock's Garage, Mygara, County Sligo, Ireland, for great service and value.
So over the years, apart from the football, of course, and the music, you have a few hobbies outside that have taken up a great part of your life, and I would say, knowing you for so many years, that fishing and golf have been very, very much to the forefront there.
Yeah, well, I was fishing from I left before I left school, I'd go fishing. I'd cut a hazel rod out of the hedge, and I'd tie a bit of line on it. When it was only a nipper on that, I'd go fishing. And I stayed at fishing, you know, all the years. And this year now, I haven't fished at all, because it was such a bad year, and the water was high, and it was wrong for fishing. And I've been speaking to fishermen that hadn't a good year fishing and that, you know. And then I started to play golf when I was in the band, and Ginger was a golfer as well, and then we had two other lads that used to come with us and that. We had a 4-ball, would go out every Monday, hail, rain or snow and that. We'd be away playing golf. But it was great. Like, you'd look forward the whole week to the Monday off and go to play golf, and you let Steve off, and that was it.
Right. I remember many years ago when I actually did work here for a few months in this town, that we went over to a lake there in South Armagh one evening, and spent a very pleasant while with you. Fishing really is something that gives you a lot of contentment, has given you contentment.
It's very relaxing as well, you know, especially if you're out on a boat and that. Even if you fish from the shore, you forget about everything. And it's like golf in a way like that as well, because when you're playing golf, you have to forget about all your worries, or if you have worries, you forget about them, because if you don't, the golf will be very bad and that. And the fishing, you have to concentrate on the fishing as well, and people think it's only a matter of throwing a line into the water and you'll get a fish, but it's not like that. You have to study the thing, and there's a couple of different ways of fishing. Like, you fish with the worm, or you know, and you fish with the fly and that, and there's a lot of techniques in fishing with a fly, and you have to know what fly to put on and what time of the year for it, and all that sort of stuff. Like, but sure, we got there anyway. We enjoyed it anyway.
To many people outside of County Monaghan, you are intimately associated with this county. I would say, with the possible exception of Patrick Kavanagh, who came from Innisfield down the road, the poet, the famous Monaghan poet, who wrote so beautifully about Monaghan and Armagh and around this part of the world, that you are, without a shadow of a doubt, the most famous Monaghan person out there. And your fans come from an extraordinary variety of backgrounds, from the professions to the ordinary working people. Wherever you go, there's Big Tom fans. And I remember reading an article in one of the Irish papers in England some years back, that to a certain generation of Irish people in the late 60s and 70s, that the Big Tom albums were the soundtrack to their lives. If you walked out of flats in Cricklewood or Kilburn, passing by, it was the sound of Big Tom and the Mainliners that was coming out of those flats on those summer evenings back to those times. You actually, they talk nowadays about big crowds, but you played to 80,000 people. You headlined Roundwood Festival, Irish Festival in London. 80,000 people attended that. I mean, they were phenomenal times for you, Tom.
Oh, they were, surely, yeah. But the day that was 82,000 there.
82,000.
Roundwood Park.
Yeah. Croke Park full to the limit.
I know, yeah. We recorded a live album.
That's right.
On that day, and it was something that was scary. I'll tell you nothing but the truth. Like, and we were used to playing to crowds and that, but not that many people. And I remember there was a hill in front of us, and all you could see was people, no matter which way you looked. But it was something. It's one of the highlights of the whole career and that, you know.
On that particular album, as on all of your shows, you open with a song called "Lonesome at Your Table." When did that become your signature tune from the early days?
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
It was on the B-side of the second record. An old log cabin for sale, and Lonesome at Your Table was the B-side of that, and it's been a very popular song.
Huge, yeah.
Yeah, down through the years, you know. And we'd sing it twice a night, you know.
Right.
But it was a great song, and a great dancing song and that, you know.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Orem, Castleblaney in the County Monaghan. Please welcome on stage in Castlebar the king, the legend, the great Big Tom McBride.
If you're lonesome at your table and you're tired of all those tears, you don't have to keep thinking all the time. Well, I'm in that old boat with you that's been sinking for so long. If it's lonesome at your table, you're welcome here at mine. This honky-tonk don't offer much, just a cold and lonely heart. A place to think about old lonesome times. I'm glad you're here to sympathize when dream worlds fall apart. If it's lonesome at your table, you're welcome here at mine. Better dry those pretty eyes, sweetheart, and wipe those tears away. The world don't care about you when you're crying. Well, I've been blue so doggone long that I love you when you say, if it's lonesome at your table, you're welcome here at mine. You used to like the songs I'm playing now, and I'll bet that since that day I must have bought this old jukebox a million times. Let's buy it just once more tonight, for I love you when you say, if it's lonesome at your table, you're welcome here at mine.
And of course, Four Country Roads, or Four Roads to Glenamaddy, as some people will call it, Gentle Mother, and going out the same way you came in. I mean, they have been your really smash hits, haven't they?
They were, yeah, well, they were the big songs and that, you know, down through the years. Yeah, with a few maybe waltzes and things like that was big for us, but I'd say in fast songs, them was the big songs. Mm-hmm. Going out the same way was a very, very big song for us.
Amazing.
You know, when it came from nowhere, and it was just a song that we went into the studio with it, and I didn't think much of it when I was going into the studio. I might as well tell you the none but the truth. But when we were coming out of the studio, I knew there was something there that, you know, it was catchy, and it was easy to sing and all that. You know, it was just one of them songs that comes along and done a lot for us.
Castleblaney. When we talk about Monaghan, we talk about Castleblaney. I know you live out here in the parish of Orem, but I suppose to a lot of people out there, you're Castleblaney, and that's the town you sang about in the early days. Back to Castleblaney, my own people and my home, that lovely song written by Johnny Macaulay. You're synonymous with this town. No matter where no matter where you go in the world, if you mention Castleblaney, people just say Big Tom, and they would Joe Dole and Mullingar, you know. It's a great credit to you, Tom, and to what you have represented down through the years. You've been a fantastic ambassador for this county. You have a great pride in Castleblaney and this part of the country around County Monaghan here.
Ah, yeah. Like, I think when everybody comes from somewhere, and they have a great pride in wherever that somewhere is, you know, and this whole area, I'd be very proud of this whole area, you no doubt about it, and Castleblaney. Like, Castleblaney is, I'm not from Castleblaney, and around here, they'd ask me a bit, you know, prayer requests for different things and that, but I would always tell people, I'm from Castleblaney till it comes to football. And
you're from Orem then?
I'm from Orem then.
Right. Yeah, they've given you many honours in town there, haven't they?
They did, surely, yeah.
Over the years.
Oh, there's no doubt about it, yeah. Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah. And we'll say the famous American poet of many years ago, Robert Frost, he wrote a beautiful poem called The Road Less Taken, and in that he has a lines about a road diverged in a wood, and I took the path less travelled by, and therein lies all that makes all the difference. If you hadn't taken the country music road, Tom, in life, where do you think you would be today? What do you think you'd have pursued in life? What profession or what career or what job would you have followed?
Well, there was one job my father done a bit at it as well, and was woodwork. I loved working with timber and wood, you know. And I'd say that's when I did go with the band more or less full time. I was erecting sheds and that, myself and a neighbour man, Tommy Dodds here, and we were putting up sheds for a firm or a company and that around the country and that, you know. The hardware shops and that, they'd sell the shed and they'd play us to erect it and that, you know. But I loved working with wood, and I'd say that's where I would have went.
But the music road has been very, very good for you. People have followed you for years and years and years. And I would also say, and I know in my heart and soul that you concur with these sentiments, that the lads you have in that band have played a huge role in your success over the years.
Oh, there's no doubt. We were a unit, like.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. Like, you have boys like John Beattie. There's nobody had a sound like John.
Yeah.
And nobody played like John. John had his own style, and in the last few years there you would hear the odd one tinkling a bit like John and that, you know, like, but it wouldn't be John. And he was a big boost to the band, and Seamus McMahon had his own style, you know, his own style of playing and guitar playing, and you know, everybody would love to be a Seamus McMahon, you know, but he had his own style and he developed that style himself, and so Ronnie was the man with the magic beat, you know. A great man in the band, a great band man. He'd sing harmony the whole night and sing pop songs and that, and then he had a beat that it was a dancing beat, you know. Seamus, Ginger Morgan and that, he done the pop songs in the band and done them very well down through the years and that. A lot of people would be listening to Ginger and that, you know. And then when he used to left, myself and Henry.
Henry and the late Henry,
Yeah.
yes, Henry.
Well, Cyril used to travel with me a lot way back in the years when we were playing a lot and travelling a lot, and I'd be learning new songs, and Cyril would be I'd be singing them in the car, and Cyril would be singing the harmony to them and that, you know. But he was a great wee man to pick songs, and a lovely singer as well, and a great bone player, there's no doubt. But sadly now he's not with us anymore, and it's just a link in that chain that's gone. You can't do nothing about these things. Henry, he was being the pusher in the band, I'd say. You know, he'd have to do this and do that. He'd call time, and he'd sing a few songs as well. The Little Short and Barney McShane and a lot of good songs like that. You know, around the house sort of songs, and he used to do that, and he always enjoyed doing them sort of songs, you know. And then he done the MC and you know, introduced all the songs and all that sort of thing in the band.
Hot Country Life Story featuring Big Tom McBride, sponsored by Sherlock's Garage, Mygara, County Sligo, Ireland, for great service and value. Hot Country TV Volume 2 4-CD set of 100 songs featuring Ireland's top country stars, including Big Tom, Nathan Carter, Mike Denver, Derek Ryan, Lisa McHugh, Jimmy Buckley, Louise Morrissey, Michael English, and many, many more, is now available. Call 087 685 9895 or visit www.hotcountrytv.com. Hot Country Life Story featuring Big Tom McBride, sponsored by Sherlock's Garage, Mygara, County Sligo, Ireland, for great service and value.
I believe my steps are growing wearier each day. Still I got another journey on my mind. Years of this old world have ceased to make me want to stay, and my one regret is leaving you behind. But if it proved to be His will that I am forced to cross, and somehow I've a feeling it will be, when it comes your time to travel, likewise don't feel lost, for I will be the first one that you'll see, and I'll be waiting on the far side banks of Jordan. I'll be sitting drawing pictures in the sand, and when I see you coming, I will rise up with a shout and come running through the shallow waters, reaching for your hand. Through this life we labor hard to earn our meagre fare. It causes trembling hands and failing eyes. So I'll just rest here on the shore and turn my eyes away until you come and we'll see paradise. And I'll be waiting on the far side banks of Jordan. I'll be sitting drawing pictures in the sand, and when I see you coming, I will rise up with a shout and come running through the shallow waters, reaching for your hand. And I'll be waiting on the far side banks of Jordan. I'll be sitting drawing pictures in the sand, and when I see you coming, I will rise up with a shout and come running through the shallow waters, reaching for your hand.
So, can you recall, Tom, where you were the first time you heard your record being played on Radio Erin or whatever it was at the time?
I don't know what it was when I heard the song we played on the radio and that, but it was in here in this next room that I heard the first time I heard myself on a record. So we had no record player or nothing at that time, and I remember John McCormick. He brought the record here, and he brought it into this room in here, and he had a record player with him. So he switched it on and put the record on, and I didn't think it was me at all, you know.
Right.
I knew the song surely was me, and but it's, you know, when you hear yourself, even, you know, when you're on a tape or anything like that, and you hear yourself talking or singing or that, you don't realise it's yourself at all, you know. But it was a big kick now to hear it yourself for the first time. I've got many to spin since that now, but
I think there was a famous occasion back in the 70s when you were at a Ulster Championship match between Cavan and Monaghan, probably in Breffni Park, I would imagine, and over the PA system they put on a song of Cavan, and the Monaghan song came on, I think probably back to Castleblaney.
That's right.
You recall that one?
I do, yeah, I do indeed, yeah.
Strange feeling, was it?
Yeah, but funny, yeah, and I suppose it was a song that was, I suppose, well enough related to Monaghan and that to be played at a thing like that, you know. But I was very surprised to hear it.
Yeah. You've recorded numerous albums over the years, both with the Mainliners, Travellers and all of that. Any particular song that stands out of all of them? It doesn't have to be your big hits or anything. Any song or two or three that are very close to you or relate to you in a special way?
One song that I always loved to sing, and there's one song that I always thought was a lovely song, and it's a song called "Don't Be Angry." And it's a song I loved to sing in the band down through the years, but then like "Gentle Mother" like was a song that started it all for me, and "Four Roads" was the next biggest record I done, and the last big record I done was "Going Out the Same Way You Come In." If anybody out there was one just the same as that, I'd be glad to hear about it.
You have a new album recorded as well?
Well, it's not recorded, but we're working on it.
Working on it,
yeah.
Right.
It'll not be out for a wee while and that, you know.
Okay. I think I heard you saying before, Tom, that you have hardly ever, probably never, recorded a song you didn't like. You're quite particular about picking your songs, and furthermore, you're a great judge at picking your songs as well. You've picked some great ones down through the years. What formula do you use, or what's your guiding lines there?
Well, there's no formula to do it at all. I'll tell you the truth, Michael. If I didn't like a song, I wouldn't sing it, and I'd use that as a guide down through the years and that. You know, I'd have to like the song, I'd have to like the words and the music, and then I would record it. And it's something that it's something that I don't know. It's built in you. You like it or you don't like it, and I had always that rule that I wouldn't sing a song I didn't like, because I wouldn't put the feeling into it that I wanted to put into it.
And it's all about feel, isn't it, really? I mean, it does. Some people sing songs, but they don't put their heart into them, and it comes across that they don't. But I mean, when people listen to Big Tom singing, that's probably the secret of it, really, that the heart is there.
Well, that's what country music's all about, feeling. You have to have feeling, and you have to have feeling for the song that you're singing, and I think that's what makes the song sound the way that it should be, and the way it should be sung, and all them good American singers too. It's all about feeling.
Mm-hmm. We mentioned Hank Williams earlier on. I know Stonewall Jackson. You've recorded a lot of his. Stonewall, a few others that have been to the forefront in your musical career over the years.
Yeah, well, I did a few Johnny Cash's songs, and I did Merle Haggard songs. I did very few now. And Buck Owens or George Jones. I did maybe one or two of George Jones and that, you know, that he would record it. But
Porter Wagner.
Yeah, Porter Wagner was a man that I sang a good few of Porter Wagner's songs. And, I think he was a great artist and that. But there was a lot of men on that who would have sung one or two songs of theirs and that. You know, if I heard a song, it didn't matter who sang it. If I heard a song that I liked and that, I would sing it.
Mm-hmm. I suppose over the years, as we said earlier, there were all the big names in Irish country music, and in the last few years, another batch of young singers have come on the scene, and there seems to be a real surge again in interest, especially of young people recording country music, especially up in the north, in the Ulster region here. It's really is huge, the amount of people who are moving into the country field again. What do you put that down to, and what words of advice would you have for some of those who are trying to make it in country music at the moment?
Well, again, I suppose, Michael, it's a cycle, and all kinds of music, you know, gets a cycle and that. A few years ago, like pop music was big thing, like for the young people in this country and that, you know. And then you got a few new young singers coming in here with country music, and it's not the country music that I would be singing and that, you know. But they're doing it, good songs, doing it their own way and that, and it's working for them. And it's great to see that they're bringing out young people into country music. I'm delighted with that. And
any words of advice for them?
Well, again, what I said, if you don't like a song, don't sing it. Mm-hmm. And you're not give it the right country feeling and that if you don't if you don't like the song. You have to like the song and put your heart into the song.
Hot Country Life Story featuring Big Tom McBride, sponsored by Sherlock's Garage, Mygara, County Sligo, Ireland, for great service and value. Hot Country TV Volume 2 4-CD set of 100 songs featuring Ireland's top country stars, including Big Tom, Nathan Carter, Mike Denver, Derek Ryan, Lisa McHugh, Jimmy Buckley, Louise Morrissey, Michael English, and many, many more, is now available. Call 087 685 9895 or visit www.hotcountrytv.com. Hot Country Life Story featuring Big Tom McBride, sponsored by Sherlock's Garage, Mygara, County Sligo, Ireland, for great service and value.
Nestled in the heart of a Tennessee hill, there 'neath the pines with the rocks and the rill, there stands my old homestead of long, long ago. It brings back sweet memories of the one I love so. I'll tell you the reason why I left her there. We roam this whole world with its sorrow and care. I saw her one night in the arms of a man, hugging and kissing like two lovers can. I went to my home with a heart full of hope, like my belongings determined to go. For many long years this whole world I did roam, with thoughts of my sweetheart, my darling, my own. While dining one day in a little country town, a stranger walked in that he chanced to sit down. While talking of loved ones, I happened to find that his sister was that old sweetheart of mine. They say no man lives in Ireland. That's all I hear from my old friend. They say I should forget you and learn to love again. I don't need nobody trying to tell me what to do, and I don't want nobody else if I can't have you. I am an island, I just want to be alone. Time means nothing to a stone. I am an island, I am an island, drifting on the sea, till you come back to me. I am an island. Boarded up the windows, locked and bolted every door. I don't want nobody coming round to see me anymore. I just want to hold your picture, lose my mind in your perfume, sit here in the shadows, staring
Just to digress a little bit from that for a moment, another passion of yours for many years has been vintage tractors and all of that. And you told me once that you didn't care much about cars at all. A good car for you is a car that starts.
That's right, yeah.
So
I think that's a good car for anybody.
It is, right, it is, yeah. You have a great love for the old tractors, Tom, and you actually repair them and you take them apart and you go to vintage rallies and all of that.
It wouldn't be great to repair them or taking them apart and that, but I like the old tractors. And I have a few of them out in the yard at the back there, and I love driving them. And at the present time, they're very easy on fuel as well. You know, them old tractors would go on the smell of diesel. But I love them, and I love the sound of them, and I go to a good few vintage runs and that sort of thing, you know. And I enjoy them. I love the smell of the old TVOs too, born in the TVO, and it's something that brings me back to this, when I was a nipple.
Well, as I said, over the years again, you have had a fantastic career in country music, going back to the first hit record in 1966. It has been just amazing, the amount of people that you have, you and the band have played to down through the years. We're very, very thankful to you, Tom, and Rose, indeed, for inviting us here and letting us do this show from your home. It's a great privilege, a great honour. I have been here, of course, on many occasions before, but it's really very, very special for us to be able to show this to the audiences of Hot Country out there tonight, Hot Country Life Stories. I'm sure that you have learned a lot about the life of Ireland's country legend, Big Tom McBride, whom we have followed for many, many years. The amount of pleasure, the amount of joy, the amount of contentment that this man has brought to so many thousands of people, not alone in Ireland, in the UK, in America, Canada, Australia, wherever Irish have gathered over the years, is truly exceptional. And Tom, thank you so much indeed for those millions of memories, and I mean millions of wonderful memories. And as we said before, there'll never be another like the great Big Tom McBride.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you very much for coming here and doing this show, and I'm really delighted, and I just like to say thank you for the years, and thanks everybody out there for following us and keeping us there for years.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
We're going out the same way we came in. It don't matter who you know or where you've been. Makes no difference who you are, Skid Row Joe or superstar. You're going out the same way you came in. We are born into this world without a thing, and we'll leave it just as naked as we came. You may drive a coupe de ville on a mansion on a hill, nor mean nothing when St. Peter calls your name. Oh, you're going out the same way you came in.